In this video, we're going to talk about shoulder bump. Gavin here from UltimateReloader.com. You okay there, buddy?
I'm okay.
Back with Travis Fox. He's recovering from his shoulder bump.
From my recoil.
And that's what we're here to talk about. We're going to talk about how to precisely control your shoulder bump when you're sizing with the new Area 419 modular shell holder system, which is really a part of the ZERO system. But before that, let's talk about what is it that you're doing over here.
We're sizing some dasher brass. I got a PRS match coming up here this next weekend. Got to load some 6 dasher up. So
good choice on the cartridge, by the way.
Absolutely. It's a gun built by Gavin. It's a nice shooter. Anyway, so we're going to start with some brass here. It's already been fired once. So I do every time anneal. So on the amp annealer, we anneal. Cleaned, decapped, and then we use the Bullet Central Micron die here on the Area 419 press. So we will show you how we're going to change this now.
Yeah, and ideally, so this is something I've talked about with quite a few people. Ideally, we want contact between the bottom of the die. Let me show you this here real quick, actually. So these shell holders, if you're going to use conventional shell holders, work fine with the ZERO press. You have this little horseshoe. The horseshoe provides essentially a surface for the cap to come down in contact. Do you have the cap?
I do.
Yeah, so the cap is going to sit on this in this horseshoe. The horseshoe captures the boss on the conventional shell holder. Down we go. Now, Area 419 just came out with the modular shell holder system. What this is going to allow us to do is to use a different assortment of shims which come with the kit. We've got -2, 0, +2, +4, +6, and +8. So there's a total of 10 thousandths variants that we can fine tune. We're going to still have that contact between the top of the actual shell holder itself and the bottom of the die. And that way we're going to get ultra consistent action. And that's because we've got that pressure. It's going to come to the same exact point, hopefully the same amount of force there every time. There's not that little air gap. If you have an air gap between your die and your shell holder, if the press is flexing differently, if the brass is of a slightly different hardness, you could get a lot more variation. So the modular system, you've got the base. We're going to start with 0. Why not start there?
Sure.
We're going to put the shim in. We've got caps for 223, 308, and Magnum, which is great. Those are some of the shell holder sizes that we use frequently. We're going to screw the top of the Area 419 assembly here onto the base. Now this is going to just install right on the ram, just like that. Next, we're going to show you a sizing example with 2 different shims. So this is our loading block, which is also Area 419, and it is filled with cases that have already been annealed. I went through here and I got 4 cases that read the exact same for headspace here. So let's double check this. We've got 0 on this one. We've got 0 on this one. That's looking pretty good. And so we wanted to start from the same point. We're going to size one at 0, and we're going to size one with, say, +6, and we're going to see what the difference in that base to datum effectively is. So we've got 0 in. Why don't you go ahead and get that baby ready. Okay, so that's our 0. We have already labeled that. And then it sounds like we need to swap out the shim there. Now remember, brass has springback. Springback is a very interesting thing, and it's unpredictable. It is very specific to the hardness and the thickness of brass and a bunch of other factors. So what we're expecting to see here is a difference in headspace, but possibly not exactly 6 thousandths of difference. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, and different brass manufacturers, they're going to have different springback, different formulas in their metals.
So there's that guy.
The annealing, all that stuff's going to, it all adds up and plays into the...
And this is where it's nice to have this kind of control, is if you're using a different brand of brass or if you've done something different with it. Okay, so that's the 6. Let's see now what the difference is. Okay. So the 0, this is 0, we have -3.5. And the 6, we have -0.5. So we can see there that we had a difference of about 0.03 of an inch. It wasn't the 6 that we expected.
Right,
So,
and that's like you were just saying, that's
Yep.
due to the brass spring back, just the properties of that metal.
and we've got a total of 0.10 variation that we can have on the effective head spacing inside that sizing die. That gives you a good bit of control over those factors. I have, for friends, turned dies down on the lathe.
Shorten them down.
I've heard of people grinding them down, and so, with this kind of a system, it gives you a bit better control without potentially having to resort to some of those drastic measures, right?
Yeah, it's a great option to have out there. You're going to need to build this for your system, for your brass.
And as an added bonus, we have this little tool here with a magnet on it that we can use to pick up bushings, whether it be from the tray here or in the sandwiched assembly. So I'm pretty excited to have this. I think this is going to be really helpful when we want to dial things in.
It's going to be a very good tool to just fine tune everything. You can keep that die where you need it to be. If you get some changes in your brass, you just dial it right in. It's very handy.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's very clean, simple. The way it works in there,
Yep.
It's nice.
What I like about Area 419 and looking at what they do in their shop, it's no surprise. Yeah. They're very OCD about storage and presentation, right?
Yes.
It's the same feeling that you get when you're using their loading blocks or their funnel kits and a lot of the other stuff. Some of their behind the scenes footage shows they're mega OCD on mechanics hand tools and everything. I mean, they're just really into that, and that's kind of on the same wavelength as with myself. So here's what we would like to know is, what do you think about the Area 419 modular shell holder system? Do you already have a ZERO? Are you planning to get it? Does this make you want to get a ZERO? Drop a comment and we'll start a discussion. And Travis, we're all wishing you the best of luck in your upcoming match.
You're going to go ring some steel this weekend. It's going to be fun. See you guys out there.
Yeah, okay, that concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Also, make your voice heard. If you have something to say, please drop a comment. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications, because you're not going to want to miss the awesome content that is coming up. And finally, flex your reloading pride. You could look great in one of these t-shirts. We've got multiple designs at the Ultimate Reloader store. I'll see you later, because I'm off to go shooting.